Welcome back to Empower Your Soul. Today, I wanted to talk about intuitive kids. This is a topic that's come up quite a bit in many of my client sessions lately, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about this. I don't really have a script to go off of for this episode, so bear with me. But I just feel called to talk about what's going on with the state of kids. What can you do as a parent of intuitive kids to support them? And also, what do they do to teach you? So let's get going. As you know, I am a mom of two very intuitive kids. I have a 9-year-old son who was seeing spirit, which is why I'm here today, as an 8-year-old, actually, technically as a 5-year-old child, but then I ignored it for 3 years, to be very clear and honest with all of you. And I also have a daughter who can hear spirit through her stuffed animals. And it's been a very interesting ride, to say the least, as someone who did not grow up in this metaphysical space at all. My background, as you all know, was strictly religion, right? I grew up in the Catholic Church. I was an altar girl, and I grew up believing in the structure, the sanctity of church, and going every single Sunday. Was it boring? Yes, it was horribly boring. But I'm so glad that as a recovering Catholic now, I have a new perspective and outlook on life. But I'll tell you, I'm a little bit unequipped to handle these children. And so for those of you that grew up seeing, hearing, connected to spirit, and having a parent that doesn't know what you're going through, I'm just going to raise my hand and admit that is completely me. I don't know what to do with this stuff. And isn't that interesting, as a metaphysical practitioner who does this work for a living, that I don't know where to toe the line with my own dang kids? So let's break through that. Let's really break through and examine this, because as a mom, at first I didn't trust my kids. I didn't trust that what they were seeing was spirit. We are all raised in this emotional state that if we can't see it, if we can't hear it, it's not true. I know that you don't believe this because you're listening to me right now, but it's very, very hard for a lot of people to admit that their child has these additional gifts, frequencies, abilities. I don't know what the right word is here, that allow them to connect to spirit at such a young age. And we act like it's not normal. And what is so interesting is it is the epitome of normal. And we just, as adults, don't want to talk about it, which is like everything else that makes us uncomfortable here in this lifetime, right? We just ignore the problem. Maybe it will go away. So I want to say and tell you, I have had so many clients lately that talk about their children's abilities and how they're able to see spirit, hear spirit, see orbs, all of these different things. And I think until you are a parent in this space and you're open to the ability of thinking that there's more out there, everybody shuts it down. Everyone chalks it up to imaginary friends. Everyone chalks it up to like imagination. You're just making things up, right? Because I'll tell you, my kids say the darndest things. I know that was a whole show, but they do. They do say the weirdest, strangest, craziest things. So if they come to me and tell me at 5 years old that I'm seeing shadow people in the basement, I'm going to chalk it up to his imagination, because the kid plays Minecraft, right? He what is that? The Ender? I can't remember. I'm not a Minecraft person. I did not see the movie, but like he sees the black version of the Enderman. I think that's what it's called the spectral, the black in color, like looking Minecraft demon that's in the game. And when he comes to me saying that's what they look like, of course I jump to the assumption he's just using his imagination. He's just seeing things. He's being silly with me. And I think this is a total normal response from parents. But the reality is that most kids are connected to the spirit world at a young age. I remember my son as a baby looking up as I'm changing his diaper at the shadows on the ceiling. And they weren't like moving shadows, they were legit shadows. And that's what I thought he was looking at. I would put him on the changing table, he would look up and he'd start laughing, he'd start giggling. And I'm just like, And I made up songs about how he would laugh at the shadows on the ceiling, right? I literally made up songs about it because I was like, this kid's crazy and he's a baby, so who cares? I'm like, I don't know what he's seeing, right? And as I get older, as he gets older, I have my second kid, and my second kid is in the crib, and I'm going in to say goodnight to her, and she looks around the corner and she waves into the hallway. There's no one there. She's literally waving and smiling into the hallway, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Right? Because this is all before I believed in any of this stuff, right? And then my son seeing the shadow people, right? And you can take a moment and you can completely ignore it. You're like, oh, that was weird, because she's never done it since, right? She's never done it again. And so I'm like, oh, maybe she was just seeing something, right? It wasn't a dead person. She was just waving because our picture's in the hallway, and maybe she was waving to me in the picture, right? It's so easy to write all this stuff off. But then as I kind of have this metaphysical hat on now, I'm like, no wonder. I'm sure that my son was seeing spirit playing above him as he's on the changing table as a small baby. I'm sure that it was my departed mother-in-law in the hallway waving at my daughter, trying to get my damn attention, right? So it's just so interesting, because I think hindsight with this stuff is 2020. And I think I want parents to know that this is completely normal. And when I say completely normal, I mean that kids, this is going to sound weird, and I don't know how much I believe it, and I don't want to regurgitate the same thing that I've heard everywhere else, but I do believe that kids have access to the spirit world up till like age 5, 6, 7, 8, right? But it's not that they lose access to the spirit world. It's that it's conditioned out. It's that we get more caught up in our eyes and our ears than in the energetic senses. And so we essentially have too much going on. We distract our brain, just like us as adults have distracted brains, where we just stop paying attention. And so I have a lot of clients saying, hey, does my, 1.5-year-old see spirits? And my answer is always absolutely yes. Does my 4-year-old see spirits? Probably yes, right? I don't think it's as turned on. Like if we're talking about a dial in terms of the connectedness, I think all of them are connected at some level. I think some kids are more connected than others at a young age, and some probably, again, have different clairs than others, right? So I think some people see spirits, some people hear spirits, some people might just feel them or get the goosebumps, right? And I think that all of this is normal as kids. And when you grow up as a young kid, and you're seeing shadow people, or you're hearing your stuffed animals talking to you, or you're getting these feeling of goosebumps all the time, it just becomes normal. Why would you talk about it all the time? Like, why would you bother talking about it all the time? You're just like, it's fine. It's no big deal. So from a kid's perspective, makes total sense. From an adult's perspective, we write it off because we have rational brains, and that's easy to write off. But what I'm finding is the more I have these conversations with people who grew up with spirit, experiencing spirit, knowing it was spirit, I cannot tell you how relieved they are. And honestly, I'm going to say it, this isn't an ego thing, but like honestly, a little jealous they are that they have a mom that says, yeah, that's grandma. Yeah, that's your great uncle. You didn't know him. And how important it is to validate them and their experiences at a young age, because otherwise they shut it down. And spirit is showing me a window. They shut it down for good, and they never open it back up when they feel like they're crazy or not validated for seeing, hearing the things that they do. And if their own parents don't believe them, who is going to believe them? So you as a parent with intuitive kids, you are, the word will not leave my mind, so I'll say it. You are the dictator in what happens to their spirituality. Not forever, but as they're young, right? You are the one who's going to set the tone, set the intention with them about what is your experience going to be. Are you going to say, yeah, it's wonderful? Are you going to say, no, that's not spirit? Are you going to say, yeah, it is spirit? Like how are you going to approach this? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, anybody. I don't even know. Spirit's telling me to keep going, so I'm going to keep going. But This is what I mean. So you as a parent, I think the best thing that you can do if you have young kids, young intuitive kids, is just continue to support them and to continue to believe them. Now, that can be really hard to do. Even me as a metaphysical person, even me as a professional medium, my daughter who's now 9 tells me she has ghosts at school. And I still like I can probably tap in and check what's going on. I don't. It's a school. I'm sure there's ghosts there, right? There's ghosts everywhere. I live in haunted ass New England, right? Do I think any of these ghosts are bad? No, I don't. So I don't really worry about it. I don't really think about it. But my daughter tells me there's ghosts in the bathrooms at school, right? And kids are kids, everybody. So to be honest with you, I don't know what I believe and what I don't believe. I go along with it. I don't tell her she's wrong. Right? Like I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Does it talk at all?" No, it doesn't talk. Just kind of hangs out there. I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why they're there." All right, well, just say hi to him next time you see him. Okay. It's literally the conversations that we have. So I kind of just go along with what she says. Do I believe it all the time? No, because I think they're at this really weird age where ghosts and demons are kind of cool, right? It's cool to talk about these things. It's cool to talk about ghosts in school at camp. Like it's cool, because we all had them. Like we had ghost stories growing up, and like who doesn't love these things? So I just play along with it. I just let her go with it. But at the same time, she comes home the other day and she says there was writing on my test that no one else could see. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, I looked down and I could see words. And when I asked well, it wasn't a test, right? Because she couldn't tell her friends. When I showed it to my friends, they couldn't see it. And I'm like, okay, all right. That seems a little strange, but what did it say? And she's like, I couldn't read it. And I'm like, what do you mean you couldn't read it? She's like, I could tell it's words, but I couldn't read the words, Mama. And she's 9, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Hang on a second. So I get out a piece of paper. I'm like, do you remember what it looks like? She's like, yeah. I'm like, can you write it down for me? And no fucking word of a lie, she wrote down a word. I don't remember what it was. It was 4 letters. To be honest with you, it looked like the word fuck, which wouldn't surprise me because it was a school, right? But I'm pretty sure it was, by the way. But it was like the big cursive, old school versions of writing things in Old England, in Old English, right? So it had like the big cursive F and like the U, and like it was like the old timey like 1700s script, she said, that was across her paper. She's 9 years old. She has no idea what that looks like. She has no idea even what that the F looks like that, right? That the S looks like that. I only know it because we take those classes eventually in middle school and high school, right? So this is just so interesting that she comes home saying, I could see words that no one else could see. I couldn't read them, but this is what they look like, and I could read it. Like this is the stuff that blows my fucking mind. This is the stuff that blows my mind, and I'm like, oh shit. She has a ghost friend that follows her, like literally a ghost friend at school that follows her. And she brings him home. But here's the problem. They're not allowed on my property. No one is allowed on my property unless I invite them, me, because I don't trust my kids. So they're not allowed. So he waits by the road for her, right? It's like this dead dude waits by the road for my daughter to take her to school every day. Like no freaking word of a lie. So this is the craziness that happens at my house, okay, as a mom. So I guess my advice is, number one, this is fun. Embrace it. Let them talk about it, because who cares? What's the truth, right? They're not crazy. But number two, I would just say continue to support them, continue to allow them to express that to you, because if they don't feel comfortable expressing this stuff to you, it's the baseline for the future of the relationship, right? If they can't trust you with the craziest shit, that there were drawings on my name, that there's a ghost outside that takes me to school every day, like what? My kids tell me everything at this point. They tell me literally everything, because I'm like, yeah, no, I trust that you saw that dead guy. And they're like, cool, Mom. I'm also having this crush at work. And I'm like, or at school. And I'm like, cool. I love the crush too. I'm going to say, like, even if you don't necessarily believe all of it, like I don't, it creates this foundation of trust. So just let them in. Let them talk about it. Let them feel like you trust them and validate them and support them. And that is actually the number one thing that I've heard from metaphysical practitioners who have been seeing spirits since they were little, is that no one validated them, no one believed them. And there's so many people in this field that have that core wound as a child. I don't want you to have that core wound. I don't want your children to have core wound. Like, who cares if it's not real, right? Who cares? So just validate them and make them feel good and whole, and that you love them and trust them and support them no matter what. And eventually, as we all know, if you have some of the older kids, they grow out of it anyway, and they get embarrassed when you talk about these things. So they will set the tone for you. You don't have to worry too much about this. And by the way, I just noticed I have my ghost earrings on today, which is most days, but I find it particularly interesting that I decided to put those on today for this. When Spirit was like, I don't know if you should wear those today. Welcome to my life, everybody. I talk to Spirit in terms of what jewelry and clothes I put on. So, yep, that's my day. And then the last part I wanted to talk about is the interesting factor of raising kids that are intuitive and being able to see it through their eyes, see life through their eyes. Because I never got to experience this. I never got to experience what it was like to really like know what energy is, know how to see the magic every single day in all these little things. See the signs, see the synchronicities, to know that my relatives are watching over me and taking care of me. And so for me, it brings such joy, such lightness, such magic into my life, watching my kids go through this in such an innocent way, without a narrative, without expectations of an outcome. Like, I don't know if they're going to be mediums. I mean, they are mediums. I don't know if they're going to do this professionally. I probably doubt it. Maybe my daughter. We'll see what happens. But just allowing them to explore and just be at one with themselves and the spirit world and the energy, and just being able to talk to them and like level set with them that, yeah, you have work to do, but you should be having fun. This is the Matrix, right? All the dead people are right there, right next to you. So like, what are you worried about? What are you so stressed about? And being able to raise them with this bigger picture, that it's not just one lifetime. Put all of the chips on the table, right? We're going to bet everything on red, right? That's not what this lifetime is like, which is how I grew up. I grew up that you got this one chance. Don't fuck it up. Don't blow it. You get one chance, and you're going to be judged your entire life. Thank you, Catholic Church. I appreciate you. Your entire life is going to be judged in one moment. And so every single moment of every single waking day is trying to make choices that align to the Bible, that align to the commandments, right? For me personally. So it's just, I love how much more free I'm being able to raise them. And I love seeing the magic through their eyes. But also, I'm really hoping this solves a lot of generational trauma, especially with the church, throughout the family. And allowing them to just really be who they are, again, without the expectation of others in religion, and letting them just flourish as souls here, which is, I think, the ultimate goal. Because I'll tell you what, I tell my kids a lot of the same exact things that I tell my clients that are much older in age than my kids. No judgment in terms of my age. Some are older, some are younger. But a lot of the lessons that these adults have gone through, are going through, that I coach them through my soul alignment sessions, they're literally going through the same things, the same problems as my kids. Like, these lessons don't go away. So I'm so happy that I can nip some of this in the bud for them, so to speak, and allow them to start life off on the best foot possible. So, I mean, I guess I'm going to challenge all of you to raise your kids the way that you would want to be raised. Raise the kids with unconditional love, with unconditional acceptance, allowing them to choose their path, choose their own destiny, choose their own personality, and know that you are just essentially their temporary guide here. I mean, you'll be there for forever, realistically, right? But you are their guide to set them off on the right foot. So use your instinct, use your gut, and that's what I've been doing, and follow what you think is the right thing to do for kids, to raise these kids the way that you think they need to be raised or they should be raised. And I come from a very long line of do I want to go there? No, Spirit's like, don't bother. But I guess my closing remark I'll say is just realize that they picked you for a reason. You picked them and they picked you for a reason. And so I encourage you to lead them with love, lead them with unconditional love and unconditional support, and let them be who they are destined to be. Let them lead the way and you support them in whatever direction they travel. And I think that's the best advice that I'm going to give. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all so much for being here today. I truly and humbly appreciate you, and I hope you have a marvelous day. Take care.